Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fringe North podcast. My name is Garrett M. Ryan. My pronouns are he, him. I am the artist relations go-to this year with Fringe North, and I'm super happy to be joined today by Avery and Mario. So if you want to take a minute to introduce yourselves, it'd be great.
Hi, I'm Avery Mcmillan. My pronouns are she, they. And I'm coming from McMillan-Newbery Space Gear with our audio drama, The Nows of Milton II and the Nearly Twenties.
Hi, I'm Mario. I'm the composer and sound engineer for this, and I guess my pronouns are he, him, and this was a fun project.
Great. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I'm super excited to chat a bit about the project. I guess first things first for our audience, just maybe take a few minutes to talk a little bit about the project. What can we see from you this year? I know you've participated in the past, which I'm sure we'll chat about it a little bit later, but just tell us a little bit about your submission this year.
Yeah, so you won't really be seeing it because it is completely audio, which is a little different from what we did last year, where it was very much a play that we performed and recorded, and this was always intended to be digital, not so much theater that is digital, but a digital submission, as it's what makes the most sense for us right now as we're going into summer, which can be a little bit unpredictable for us, especially as university students. And I think that's a theme that does come up in the play itself, or I don't know if it's right to call it a play, but the drama. Yeah. So it is about three friends over the summer, and it is based on the Great Gatsby. So but it is set in this summer, but kind of in the future as they're reflecting back on it. And it is about the quest for Milton II to his Lavender's cactus that has been kind of taken and kept across the bay. But more than that, it's kind of showing what they're concealing as we leave intentionally a lot of it out and have an unreliable narrator. So that is kind of the theme that comes through.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And I think there's been a very long debate about what constitutes theater, especially in the last few years. I know CBC did a series of podcast radio dramas kind of at the beginning of the pandemic, and I think they called them plays. So I think you're good to call them plays. Yeah, it's a little bit up in the air. I know whenever I've done digital stuff throughout the pandemic, I'm like, I guess it's a play, but also kind of a movie, or it's a little bit up in the air. But yeah, anyway, that sounds super exciting. You mentioned there's an inspiration from Great Gatsby. Can you tell us a little bit about how that factors into it and where that came up?
It came up as I wrote and planned and wrote it within kind of my last week of school as I was leaving. I'd finished stage managing a show, and then my parents had come to pick me up, and that kind of weekend I started working on it, and I completed it within the week of getting home. And it kind of started with getting inspiration from more monologue heavy works that I've enjoyed reading, and then thinking about what kind of plot I would use. And in terms of that, I was like, let's work with something that already exists. And with The Great Gatsby, especially as it just recently entered the public domain. However, it would not be it's not an apparent inspiration. It's more like some cute little references that people might get. But if you're not familiar with The Great Gatsby, I don't think you entirely would. And the overall plot structure, and as I deconstructed the plot of The Great Gatsby, and just in terms of getting the plot points, were used similarly, but there are no really direct characters. I would say the narrator of ours name is Eunice, and that would be a pretty clear connection to Nick, but they're not at all the same character.
Very interesting. Yeah, I totally forgot. I think I remember when Great Gatsby went into the public domain. I totally forgot that. That's really cool that you're taking advantage of that and working it into the plot. That's really exciting. I'm a big fan of Great Gatsby, so I'm super excited to see your submission.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess for you, Mario, can you talk a little bit about your role within the production and how you got involved? Yeah, just a little bit about how you started working together.
Well, I guess what I do is I make the music for all the tracks, and then I would mix and match the volumes for everything. And recently we've been putting like the final touches. We got like this final list of things to do, so that's fun. What was your other question?
I guess how did you get involved? Is this the first time you've collaborated together, or have you been doing stuff in the past as well?
I think
Um,
this is our
I
first
think
time
this
like
is, yeah, this is,
collaborating in this way.
yeah.
Last semester I was a stage manager and he was the musical director for our like submission for All Together now
Yeah.
with at UTM. When he went to UTM and now he's at Algoma U for music. And yeah, we've been friends for a long time and I thought that he'd be a good fit for this project. And he has been. I'm really impressed with the music.
That's awesome. So how did the process of working on the music work? Was it so did you do the kind of in tandem with the writing and recording, or was it you recorded it and then worked on the music based on the recordings you
Yeah, that's what I did. I waited till all the recording was done, and then I just I just deep dived right in.
That's awesome. That's great. And then you mentioned that there are some other collaborators as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about their roles in the production and how long perhaps you've been working with them, if you've been collaborating with them in the past? Yeah.
Yeah. So the three actors are all part of the Theater and Drama Studies program at UTM, and I've met them all in the past year and worked a little bit on other things within campus theater. So we have Maggie Tavares as Lavender, and yeah, she's been great. She's really like developed her character pretty and really put a lot of effort into it. And then we have Ryan Bagley playing Mar, and yeah, they've done a really good job also. And I think I was surprised that they've found really I think especially for Maggie and Ryan, they all found areas to relate to their characters. And then Eunice is, I think, a little bit less relatable and maybe more difficult to pull off. But we have Anthony Palermo playing Eunice, and they've done also a very good job. And they also, they have a ton of experience in a ton of things, from acting to directing and composing and writing. So having them on board was really exciting for us, as they're also just going into their fourth year and we're coming out of our first years. Yeah, and so there's the three of them as acting, and so we don't have to, and you don't have to hear.
Yeah.
Actually, though, we did put my voice in it a little bit, but you don't have to hear me the whole time.
Fair enough. I am the same way. I am much more comfortable writing and letting other people act. I don't like to be up there doing stuff. Personally, I don't know. This might just be for this project for you, but anyway, so kind of shifting gears a little bit, I'm curious to know, you mentioned that this is going to be an audio drama. So what was the decisions that led to that format? And have you worked with doing this kind of audio drama stuff before, or is this totally new territory for you?
I have not done anything like this before, so it is new. But it was really in terms of having something that could work on stage, but could also work as an audio drama. Yeah, I would like to see, maybe not this particularly, but something in like similarly styled on stage and being able to direct that. But for me, I think the not so much challenge, but the opportunity has been to work more with character and line delivery, which is kind of fun, rather than focusing on things like movement, which I would typically focus on. Yeah, so it's new, but it's also fun and not, yeah, not so much a challenge as an opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And for those who weren't able to see your work last year, what can you describe a little bit about how you approached working digitally last year, and maybe how you found the experiences differed or been similar this year?
Oh, it was so much different last year because we really wrote it and performed it as like a Fringe show that was on a stage and recorded, just like a recorded performance. So the difference was being able to like work on sets and have like rehearsal, like a typical rehearsal process for a play, and getting to the point of just like completing it and doing strike, which is what I love about doing theater. And so that there's like that really theatrical process of doing that, whereas this has been not at all that, because it was just writing, having them rehearse over Zoom and then sending them off to go and record each of their lines and then coming back to the Zoom meeting. And then just having these not even done consecutively all the time. And then uploading the separate files and making sure that their voices are at similar levels, and re-recording things as necessary, and then adding the music in, and really getting to, I guess, perfect it in a different way than you would be able to normally when it's live performance and you can be off with some cues. So there's like that tremendous difference between those two things, and this is again like very much like meant to be digital, rather than something that seems obviously it still is more theatrical than, and like I guess television or something that's not written theatrically would be, but it is very much digital.
Yeah, for sure. And I think you're right. It gives you working, especially with the radio plays. It really allows you to focus on different things, for sure. Like it's, I'm sure as a writer, you were able to focus a lot more on the sort of textual elements and doing, and in doing the radio and doing the audio format, and just being able to kind of go back and work specifically on the live. Because you're right, when you're doing live theater, it's just you don't get a chance to hop back and try something again, and it's just beginning to end. I agree. It's something I found very interesting in doing digital work throughout the pandemic. It's weird having the opportunity to do other takes of things rather than just hope for the best, which is kind of inherent in theater. But I'm curious, just in the conversation about past experiences, what has very broad question, but what has led you to this moment? Both of you are in school right now pursuing art. What's brought you to this place? What has been your past experiences, maybe with Fringes? I know you participated last year. I don't know what you've done previously to this, but even outside of Fringes, tell us a little bit about your artistic journeys, both of you. I'm very curious to hear.
I think, Mario, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. So I've been playing piano for 15 years, I think now. Yeah, and I'm 18, so that's like 3 years that I haven't been playing piano. But I did this project with Avery as the composer because I thought it'd be like a very fresh new thing I could kind of tackle. Because just doing new things is fun all the time, like musically. It's just like, yeah, give it a try. And yeah, I guess that's my reason. Just try everything, really.
Yeah, for sure. So is this the first time you've really done something like this then, or at least in this kind of format?
Yeah, definitely. I've never like composed music for like a film sort of thing.
Yeah,
I've made like small songs just for fun a lot, but that this is kind of a new level.
great. And have you done stuff? So I know you switched to music to study music. What were you at UTM for? Was that music related as well? I forget, I think it was mentioned. I'm just blanking.
It was actually history and philosophy,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, no, I hated it. It sucked. It was boring.
Fair enough. I had the same, not history, but I originally was going to school for like some realm of political science and switched to theater. So I I, I,
Um,
I definitely get the switching from the boring.
yeah.
Like, yeah, that's cool though. That's awesome. And what about you, Avery? What's your artistic journey look like?
I think I'd have to agree with Mario and like wanting to try everything. I started kind of with musical theater and performing, and then I kind of, especially in high school, I got to do a few more backstage things, and that's kind of led to um, obviously last year writing and directing for Fringe, and then over the past year I've been doing a lot of stage managing and um, some technical design for theater, especially with lighting, which is fun. I enjoy that, but I think not performing for the past year, I've been like, oh, maybe I should kind of want to do that again. Not necessarily as like a specialization, or that I think I'm an incredible actor, but I think it's all fun in theater.
Hmm. Yeah, that's great. And I have okay. I have a question specific because I know both of you are from Sault Ste. Marie, right? Okay, I have a question. Actually, I'm gonna ask this first because I have something else I wanna ask. But in terms of Sault Ste. Marie, how did you find it growing up there in terms of opportunities for artistic things? Like how did the Sault Ste. Marie community kind of foster you as artists?
I can go first. I know for me particularly, I think that there are obviously not a huge breadth of opportunities in comparison to larger cities, especially having gone and lived in Toronto for a year. Um, but there are a lot of like opportunities, I think, for mentorship, and there are a lot of people are very interested and invested in the arts in Sault Ste. Marie, and I know that I'm like really grateful to have the opportunity of working with a lot of the same people for many years, as well as having new people come in and be introduced to everything, and then being one of the people to go and leave and continue pursuing this, I think is great. And I think, yeah, that might not be the case elsewhere.
Hmm. And what about you, Mario, in terms of the music side of things?
Oh yeah. I think the city is really artistic. Feel like growing up, I've just been like completely surrounded by people of art. Just like everywhere I'm going, there's just something musical happening. Um, yeah, a lot of cool stuff in the Sioux.
Yeah, that's awesome for sure. I'm really glad that so I'm not from the Sioux, but I am from Northern Ontario as well, and I did the move to Toronto. I'm in Toronto right now. Definitely, obviously, because of the city size, a lot more opportunity here in Toronto. But there's something very special about the kind of small to mid-sized Northern Ontarian cities. Like a lot of them have a really strong artistic core and a really good kind of tight knit community. So there's something different from someone's experience growing up here in Toronto, where there's more opportunity, but there's something special about having that kind of tight knit, really passionate community. So it's kind of jumping away from the arts a little bit, I'm curious. So Mario, you mentioned originally you were going to school for a completely different discipline. I think I'm curious for both of you, what sort of passions or interests do you have outside of your art, and do you find that that influences your work at all?
I don't really have any other passions. Just music. It's kind of what I want to do. Just work hard at it, be the best at it. Oh well, I'll try to be the best. We'll see how far I go there, but yeah, music is my passion. So probably just gonna kick that till the last breath.
That's totally fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, I feel like theater is one thing that I can feel like I can be doing like for my entire life and not get bored of it. But I'm also interested in a lot of other things and learning about other things. And I'm also doing another major in gender studies. So I think obviously that it interests me. And I also kind of chose that in order to have some material and like really like substantial perspectives in terms of creating theater,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is important.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. I definitely recommend, I mean, at least in terms of the theater sphere, definitely, you know, take courses, broaden your horizons on other things. I did the same thing. I would take other courses for a lot of the reason was just seeing how I could filter that into my creative work. Be like, oh, I'm gonna go take this course and like get a new perspective on something, and then how can I put this in a script? So that's yeah, as a theater maker, for sure, that's what you have to do. Just it, you know, broaden your horizon and put it in your art. So I have a question specifically about doing the digital work. How have you found it in comparison to doing some of the in-person work, and specifically, what have you found that you've really been able to do digitally that you weren't necessarily able to do in person? Because we talked a lot about the sort of negative sides of doing digital a lot, but I want to hear maybe a positive experience that you've had in doing the digital.
I think the positive has definitely been that just being able to do it at our own time with different schedules and things like that, I think is definitely a pro. And I think also just, I don't know if the way that Mario's been able to do the music would have happened the same way. And I don't think the melding of music and dialogue would happen in the same way in an in-person form without so much rehearsal and so much time being spent into it. So it's definitely been like, so that's made it a lot easier. Would I say that it's as fun? No, because I enjoy making props and stuff like that. But in terms of it being really easy and having a piece that is really, I think, cohesive and really like really quite beautiful with Mario's music, is just really nice and pretty. That was like, as we were editing, it's just like, this is really nice. This is so pretty. It's just most of my feedback, like there, yeah. So I think that, I don't know, if Mario can speak more to that and how that's been possible to do digitally, yeah.
Yeah, if you have anything else to add to that, Mario.
Yeah, Avery was talking about that earlier. I thought it was really nice to just record things at my own pace. But when we did get together, it was also pretty good because that was like the brainstorming session for what I was gonna do when I was recording, which was pretty fun.
Yeah, for sure. And in the same realm of working in the digital, I'm curious, has there been anything that has come up as an obstacle that you have managed to overcome in some sort of way? I know there's a lot of things that have come up for me in working digitally, and you have to be crafty sometimes to figure out how to make it work. So can you think of any interesting stories like that may have happened for you?
There's one scene that I can think of. So what we did was like record each scene separately, and then also add the music separately so we can all put it all together and have it nice. That like most of the time I had them re-record anything that was not great, but there was one that like the sound quality was like a little bit weird. And Mario did this really cool thing with the music, and it really works for the scene, just to like make it seem really dreamlike, which was like the intent already in terms of like the directing for when we were doing the acting part. And then being able to have those technical aspects also convey the same thing was really what we're going for. And having, of course, like the characters are leaving a lot unsaid and a lot untold. But really we wanted the music to do a lot of that for us. And that's kind of one example where we were able to do that unexpectedly.
Great. Yeah, do you have anything to add to that, Mario? Or
Oh yeah, that was fun. It was like a half. Oh hey, look, the quality's bad. Let me change the instrument. But also just the other half, like, oh, this would be like something cool. Actually, it was like 70% more of the, oh hey, it's a bad quality. Let me change up the instrument just for fun.
you find you make the most interesting discoveries in trying to
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, that's awesome. And I guess I'm also curious, is there anything that you tried to do within this production that you would say is the most ambitious thing that you did, and something that you're very excited for an audience to see or hear?
I don't know. Do you know anything?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought going into this is like the ambitious goal was to have kind of multiple themes that are different throughout the whole thing, but it would still be like their theme, but it would be different variations of the same theme, and that was a little tricky to put in when playing. So, but that was fun.
That's awesome.
I'm so impressed. If that seems like, if you're unclear on what that meant, and I'm so impressed with the way that Mario followed my direction in terms of music, because I do not know music words at all, and my like inspirations were just like so varied and out there, and it was like, you know, like what they're doing here, but like not at all like this. And also like the Cranberries, but 1920s. And feel free to do whatever style you want. But we wanted to have like a theme for each of the characters that develops with them throughout. And yeah, hopefully, I think some people might pick up on that, but otherwise it just sounds really nice.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. That's really cool. I'm so excited to check it out. The Cranberries, but 1920s is one of the coolest descriptions I've ever heard. So I'm excited to see how that all plays out. Just noticing the time, we're gonna probably wrap up in a minute or two. So I just want to end with if a prospective audience member is coming up to you and saying, why should I check out your production this year? What's the sell? What's the elevator pitch? Why should someone see or hear your production this year?
I think it would be because of Milton II. So obviously in the title is Milton II. And this came about organically as I was researching names and being like, Milton, I know a Milton. So Milton II is our cactus that we had as a set piece last year on stage, and it's right here. It's Milton II. So yeah, we had him on stage last year, and then it came about that I was like, oh, Milton, and then why not put Milton in the title? So Milton II is our cactus, and he's also in a way replaced Gatsby a little bit, which is interesting, but also at the same time Daisy and everyone else in the plot. So really having everything hinge around this cactus, maybe as a distraction from some other things that we leave unsaid, is really fun. And I think obviously it does listen very much as a drama, and I think you could listen to it while doing anything, almost like listening to a song, really. Like, it is highly musical. I personally would maybe drink a tea and knit as listening to it, but you could maybe like wash some dishes or something, or sit with friends and just like stare at the blank screen and listen if you wanted to. But yeah, the cactus, I think, as the star, really points to like our very like satirical almost tone, even though it doesn't necessarily come through and you don't have to listen to it that way, as like this ridiculous thing where they're going after this cactus and it means the world. So yeah, I think it's really something that can be listened to anyway, whether it be just kind of as a fun thing, as a, oh, someone I know is doing this, so I'll listen out of respect for them, or to really think critically with what's like content-wise, what's in it, which isn't really that much because they just talk about nothing for an hour. But that's not really the selling point, because it is, yeah, it is a story about friendships that are like growing closer and apart, with like a lot of imagery of the tides. Yeah, and I would say also that I waited until after writing it to read The Chosen and the Beautiful, which is a recently like released Great Gatsby retelling. And reading it, there's like a lot of really nice imagery that I think really had a lot of similarities to what we're doing here. So I think in terms of if you like The Great Gatsby and kind of the imagery that comes to mind with that, I think you would also enjoy it, because there are a lot of similarities in what the author of The Chosen and the Beautiful picked up from The Great Gatsby and what I did as well. So I think in terms of that, like, ours isn't necessarily as magical, but there is kind of that atmosphere that I think is really enjoyable, and that is we would return to, which is why The Great Gatsby is a classic. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. That's great. Mario, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of cool stuff to take from the from Avery's audio visual novel. Wait, did I get those 3 words right? No, okay. Well, yeah, I gave it a try. Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of things to take. Avery has a really cool way of telling the story, definitely, and it's really interesting to see how the character development goes throughout the whole story. And it's like, oh wow, that was really cool. That's what I gotta say.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to check it out. So just to confirm, the title of the show is The Nows of Milton II and the Nearly 20s.
Yes, that's correct.
All right.
You
great.
like a good lengthy title.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Yeah. So The Nows of Milton II and the Nearly 20s. So that will be at our digital festival at Fringe North. Our festival will be running this summer from August 18th to the 21st. We will have details on tickets and all of that great stuff available soon. Please check our brand new website, Sue Fringe, at not an email, suefringe.com, for more details, and follow our social media. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here. I really enjoyed having this conversation, and I think I think people are going to love what you're bringing to the festival. It sounds fantastic. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This was lovely.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for watching. And we will see you at our next episode. Thanks.
Fringe North runs from August 18th to the 21st. This year, Fringe will be a hybrid festival, so there will be both in-person and digital offerings. To stay updated and learn more, visit SueFringe.com. We are always looking for volunteers to help out in various areas. If you are interested in volunteering during this year's activities, email SueFringe@gmail.com. Like what we're doing? Don't forget to tip the Fringe at paypal.me/FringeNorth so that we can continue to help support artists, or e-transfer to SueFringe@gmail.com.